The UK government just updated their dependents of families on a work route. Now, I felt it's so important for me to share this with you because it shares different scenarios. Maybe if you're a care worker who wants to bring your dependents, whether you can bring your dependents or not, or maybe you want to apply under a medium skilled work and it's on the temporary shortage list or immigration salary list. You might be wondering, can I bring my dependents or not? It says which dependents can actually stay with you, which dependents can actually not come from outside the UK, entry clearance. And there are so many clauses here that I felt this one breaks it down very well for everybody to understand. If you're interested in this, please watch this video till the end. Hello everybody, my name is Cynthia. I share information that will help your transition abroad to be as smooth as possible. I share information about settling, working, or studying in the UK. You know that when they change these rules, nobody tells you, hey, they've changed it. Nobody sends you an email or any alert. That's why I'm here. I'm here to alert you. See, this thing has been changed. See where it is. Go and read it for yourself. But I also break it down for you so that you can understand it better. And I pray that this actually helps you. If you feel that this will help you, then just give me a thumbs up. It supports my work here. It encourages me to keep showing up. And if you feel that you like what I'm doing here, please just write something in the comment to encourage me. I really appreciate whatever you write there. But without wasting time, let's get into this video. This is a very long document. I'm not going to share every single aspect, especially some of the parts that we all know. The first part that I just want to share with you is that if the dependent partner and stroke or dependent children are applying at the same time as the lead applicant, the applications should be considered together. And they are saying that you can apply with your partner or your children at the same time, and if you don't want to do so, it's still fine. So either way, it still works. Yeah, I'm going to concentrate on this aspect that has to do with dependents who can stay and dependents who cannot stay, and it's under the care workers and senior care workers and medium skilled workers. This is the major part that they made some changes in. As usual, the first paragraph there explains that if you are a care worker and you want to bring dependents, you must have submitted an application before the 11th of March 2024. We are all aware of that when it comes to 6135 and 6136. This is the rule that has always been in place, so I don't need to explain that at all. But the part I want us to look into is for medium skilled occupations, if the lead applicant has continuously held permission as a skilled worker under the rules enforced before 22nd of July 2025, a dependent may apply. So if the lead applicant submitted an application before the 22nd of July 2025, then they can actually bring dependents for any of the medium skilled occupations. And I told you that medium skilled occupations are mostly found under the temporary shortage list and the immigration salary list. It says here, to be eligible for this exemption, the lead applicant's original application date must have been before the 22nd of July 2025, even if the application was granted after the 22nd of July, and whether or not their dependents applied at the same time. Even if the dependents decide to submit afterwards, the visa will be approved. Their visas, if they are more than one, will be approved because the lead applicant submitted an application before the 22nd of July 2025. That one is clear. To note, the only cases where a lead applicant can be sponsored in a medium skill occupation and this exemption will not apply are those where the lead applicant's job is on the immigration salary list or the temporary shortage list. I told you guys that if you're on the immigration salary list or the temporary shortage list, most of the occupations there are medium skilled, and because they are RQF level 3 to 5, you will no longer bring dependents from the 22nd of July 2025. And if you want to find out the list that you have to check to find out whether your occupation is under the temporary shortage list or immigration salary list, you need to check tables 1A, 2AA, 2A, or 3A. And there is a link there. I'll put the link to this particular document in the description for you to just explore and read it for yourself. It says that the exemption also is when the lead applicant is the sole surviving parent or has sole responsibility for the child. And this is an application for permission to stay. If the lead applicant has applied to be a care worker, even if it is after the 22nd of July 2025, and it is maybe 6135 or 6136, and is a permission to stay. That their child is in the UK. They are the sole surviving parent. That's the spouse is dead or something like that, or they have sole responsibility. And this is permission to stay, not entrance, according to them. Permission to stay. They will approve that application. That's what it seems like. I didn't see any permission for entrance. They just said permission to stay. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? Now, it says that if the lead applicant has joint responsibility for the child with another skilled worker who is also sponsored for a job in one of the above occupation codes, and this is an application for permission to stay. So if the lead applicant has joint responsibility, the husband, let's just say husband or wife, let's use that scenario. Husband has a care worker visa 6135, and the wife has a care worker visa, and both of them have this permission to stay in the UK, then they are exempted. Their children can also stay with them during this period. And the last part is if the dependent is a child who was born in the UK, the child can apply. So if that child was born in the UK, it doesn't matter what type of skilled worker visa option, care worker or anything, the child can actually apply to stay. Remember, they keep saying permission to stay. They don't say entry clearance. Guys, if you are somebody who submitted an application for a care worker visa and both you and your partner got that after 11th of March 2025 and you were able to bring your dependents into the UK, just tell us, let us know that it is true, because I don't know, some people say different things, but I know that they've been allowing to stay if the child is in because they don't want to separate families, but I don't know for someone coming in from outside the UK. These are the examples that they use. They are straightforward and easy to understand. They said migrant A has been sponsored as a care worker with their partner and child since the 10th of January 2022. Their dependents can continue to apply as such. So it's very easy because they submitted an application before the 11th of March 2024. Migrant B has been sponsored as a care worker since 25 November 2023, but had not applied for their partner and children. They can make an application for their dependents to join them at any time during their period of leave. Some people asked me this question. I told you, you can submit an application even though your dependents had not come in with you. You can submit an application because before the 11th of March, you were granted that particular skilled worker visa or that care worker visa. Let's call it a care worker visa. It's under the health and care visa. Migrant C has been sponsored as a nursing auxiliary since 10th of July 2023. No, it's 6131. That's the code for this. But switches to being a senior care worker with an application made on the 15th of March 2024. They have a partner who has joint responsibility for their children. Their dependents will not be allowed to make applications in connection with their leave as a senior care worker. So what they're trying to say here is because you are switching from NHS 6131 to this other pathway 6135, which is the care worker route, and this application was made after the 11th of March. They said 15th of March 2024. They're saying the dependents will not be allowed to apply. That is one problem when you are switching from one route to another route. We all know what's up. You know that, yeah, there are some certain conditions, but let's just get to that stage. I will show you some things here. Migrant D has been a student since 1st of September 2021, then switches to be a care worker, having completed their course with an application made on the 1st of April 2024. They have a partner and a child, which Migrant D has sole responsibility for. So that Migrant D has sole responsibility for that particular child. Their dependent partner cannot make an application, would have to apply for permission in their own rights. Their dependent child could make an application for permission to stay in connection with their leave as a care worker. So what they're trying to say here is if you're on the student route or something like that, and you just submit an application on the 1st of April 2024, which is after they made that rule that no longer bring dependents. You can no longer bring dependents. And then in this situation, you have a partner and you have a child, but you have sole responsibility for that child. Your child can submit an application, but your partner cannot submit an application. We all know that sometimes they can ease the conditions for this. So it's getting very, very complicated. I know that if it's to stay, they would approve, but if you are coming in from outside, they won't approve. Anyway, they said Migrant E has been sponsored as a care worker since 1st of June 2023, but switches to being a senior care worker with an application made on the 25th of March 2024. Their dependents can make an application. So switching from 6135 to 6136 will be treated the same way. You can still bring dependents because it looks like you're extending. But if you're switching from 6131, which is nursing auxiliaries and assistants, to 6135 or 6, that's when they'll treat you as if you are changing the pathway you are coming into. Next, Migrant F switches from being the dependent partner of a student to being a senior care worker with an application made on the 10th of March 2024. Their partner can apply as their dependent, subject to course completion requirements. They submitted that application before the 11th of March, which is 10th of March 2024. They can actually bring dependents. Now, Migrant G and their partner, Migrant H, switched to being a care worker on the 8th of October 2024. If their children are applying for permission to stay or were born in the UK, they can make an application. They will not be able to apply for entry clearance. Care workers, that's 6135, and they applied on the 8th of October 2024. So their children can apply for permission to stay. And if they were born in the UK, that's fine. They can make an application, but they won't be able to apply for entry clearance. That is the children coming in from outside the UK. They will not approve it. That is what they're trying to say, guys. What do you think about these rules? What do you think about any of the things they've written here? I know that some of the rules can be a bit daunting and a bit confusing, but like I said, I'll put the link to this in the description box. Here comes the most important part that I feel we should pay attention to, and I'll tell you my observation about this particular aspect. Recognition of previous leave. Now, where a migrant has been granted permission as a dependent and the lead migrant changes job or switches to another PBS. So PBS is point-based system route, which allows dependents. The original permission which the dependent holds will continue to be valid. If you're on a pathway that allows dependents, and let's say you are a business analyst and you decide to switch to another pathway that allows dependents, for example, project management manager or something like that, then you can continue on that route. The dependents can stay in the UK because the same rules that applied in the previous route applies right now that you've changed the pathway. They're talking about a point-based system or routes. Now, next, they said where dependents are already in the UK and the lead applicant switches to care worker, they will have chosen to do so in full knowledge of the dependent rules. This is therefore not a reason to allow the dependents to switch exceptionally, unless, of course, there are children born in the UK who are allowed under the rules. For example, if you're on a pathway that allows dependents, maybe you're on a business analyst pathway or something like that. I'm always using business analyst, data analyst, whatever pathway you are in, and then you decide in your own right that you want to switch to become a care worker, 6135. Maybe you don't have enough money to pay for IHS fees or something like that. You decide to switch to the care worker routes. They are just trying to tell you that since you knew that they have stopped care workers from bringing dependents, they're telling the case workers, case workers are the people that approve your visa, that they should not just give you or allow your dependents to switch with you. That's what they are trying to say. That you knew that they have stopped care workers from staying in the UK. So you knew in your full rights, full knowledge of the dependent rules. So therefore, that's not a reason to allow the dependents to switch. look at this part. If the new permission granted to a lead applicant does not allow dependents, it will not normally be appropriate to cancel those dependents' existing permission unless there are other reasons to do so. They are also saying that even though we don't expect you to approve that dependent visa, but it doesn't mean that you should just cancel it entirely. They went further to say a decision not to cancel does not mean there is any expectation of further permission. Once this existing permission ends, they cannot be granted permission to extend their stay as dependents if the lead applicant does not have a form of permission which allows dependents. They are trying to say that, hey, it doesn't mean you should just give the person exclusive right to switch their dependents. But at the same time, don't be in a hurry to cancel that application, that visa application. What I understand from all of this here is, since you knew that care workers are no longer allowed to bring dependents, but because you are in the UK already, there might be some conditions which they have sealed off. If you see further down here, they say official, sensitive, start of section. Another part says the information in this section has been removed as it is restricted for internal home office use. So there might be conditions that they might, kind of consider, weigh options. Should you extend or should you not? Which they have not disclosed. Guys, this is available for you to read, especially if you have adult children or other relatives, maybe your child who is 18 years or older on the date of application, who has not previously been granted permission as a dependent of lead applicant, or the dependent partner cannot be granted permission as a dependent child. Similarly, other relatives, for example, parents or grandparents, cannot apply. Anyway, just read about this other section if you have kids who are going to cross 18 by the time you need to submit an application or extend your application. Guys, what do you understand by this? I feel like they have some things that they are considering when it comes to medium skilled occupation. It might be a case-by-case scenario which they might weigh the options to know whether they want to approve that visa or not. What do you think about what I've just read now? It's just there. It's on the website for everybody to see. It's not hidden. It's just left for you to understand what is happening. They're just saying, please do not switch if you're already on a pathway that has a dependent. But if you switch and your dependent decides to follow you on that new pathway, there might be conditions that you might have to meet, which they don't want to share with you. And I don't know, it might be a bit risky for you to do so. I wouldn't encourage anybody to switch to a pathway that does not allow dependents, especially now that 22nd of July has just passed. I wouldn't tell you to do so. Please don't do it, because we don't know what conditions. And another thing about visa application is that with time we get to know what works and what does not work. With people submitting application and then saying, okay, this one worked or this one did not work, you get to learn about the system, because like I said, sometimes a caseworker will handle this person and deny it. Another caseworker will handle this other person and approve it. Guys, what do you think about what is happening right now? Please read every other section here. We make videos here, but it's always difficult to share every single scenario and all that, because there is this aspect that has to do with dependent requirements. Please, it's very difficult to create videos on every single aspect. Go and read it for yourself, digest it, understand it, and then make an informed decision. Do not wait until it's time for you to submit an application before you prepare yourself. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about the fact that they could not extend their stay and they had to hire a lawyer to fight their case. Why? Because they wrote the wrong English language test. It has happened to several families. Guys, be wise. Be very intelligent about how you go about this. Do not apply for IELTS and write IELTS that is not that of UKVI. Please be conscious, and also do your UK NRIC and just hold it. It does not expire. I don't think it expires. Just do it and hold on to it. It saves you from a lot of things. Even police clearance and police report. Get it as soon as you need it. I know it expires after, is it 3 months or so like that. Just get your police report, get everything settled. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.